Yeah, we are off to a good start. We played a really tough tournament to start the season in Kansas City against some of the best teams in the country, and we lost to West Texas in I think we were leading the game for about 35 minutes of that game, and so that's our one loss. And I thought
they were ranked, what, 6th or 5th?
Yeah, they're ranked number 6 in the country. Now they're number 2 in the country. And we're of the mindset right now that if they're the number 2 team in the country, then I feel like we're in a good situation, and we've got a chance to compete for a lot this year. We are led by a very, very veteran team. So we have 5 of our student athletes who chose to come back for their 5th year, who are COVID seniors, is I guess what we tab them now. And all 5 of them have been here for their whole careers, and we're working on master's degrees and all sorts of things, and they've done a lot of great things here at UNK. Super proud of that group. They've kind of been a huge part of the building of our program, and so it's awesome that all 5 of them chose to come back, and obviously they didn't have to. It was their choice, and so that's been huge for not just them to be able to help us be successful in this season that we're in right now, but it's been really neat to watch them invest in our young kids. They've been like 5 extra coaches on the sideline, just helping our young kids learn and figure things out, and so that's been really amazing to see their leadership and their willingness to kind of invest in the next group in generation, so to speak, of who will be in our program. But then we also have a slew of kind of these middle-aged student athletes, I guess you could say, that kind of get overlooked a little bit sometimes.
Did you get 45-year-olds on your team?
I know, right? Middle-aged. Middle-graded, I guess is what you could say. But players like Trinity Law and Meg Burns and even Samantha Moore is a sophomore now. Sarah Schmidt was a transfer from UNO, but she's in her 2nd year. And so we have a lot of other players who are doing great things on our team who, sometimes just get lost in everybody, has for 5 years been talking about the COVID seniors, and there's a lot to talk about, and they're amazing kids, but there's also a lot of credit should be given to those younger kids too. So we have been able to kind of recruit regionally, and been successful now in being able to, obviously our changes with the reciprocity stuff have really been able to, have allowed us to be able to kind of open up our recruiting. And so we've been able to stretch a little bit further each year, and so we're in South Dakota, we're in Colorado, we're in Utah now, Kansas, Missouri, we've got kids from Iowa, of course, and now we're stretching up into Minnesota. We just signed one of our first commits from Minnesota, so that's been super helpful for us to be able to continue to expand and reach into other states. And I think what we're seeing is when one student athlete from that area has a positive experience, and they kind of share that information, and then all of a sudden we've got a lot more interested in these areas. So from a recruiting standpoint, everybody keeps asking me, well, what are you going to do when these 5th year kids are done? And honestly, we feel really good about the current players in our program that just haven't had opportunities yet. We have several freshmen who are going to redshirt and kind of take a year to learn and not lose their eligibility for a few minutes maybe throughout the season. And then we signed a really nice class just recently in the November signing period. And so with a lot of size, and we're obviously losing a lot of size in that class with those 5th year kids. So the future is bright also, and our current season is going well. Kevin will also probably talk about this, but we're just about to start our conference season, and it always gets ramped up a little bit, and the intensity of just the games, and I guess the magnitude of what those games mean, and we'll ramp up real quickly here this week. And so we start out with Rogers State, Northeastern State, and I mentioned earlier today in Loper Luncheon that it's the first time we haven't had to face Fort Hays, Emporia, and Washburn in the first 3 games of our conference season since I've been here. So for 7 years, those were the first 3 games we played every single season. And it's kind of nice to just have a change and have some different teams to start out with. You know, we'll play 6 games before the break, and then we'll have 2 straight months of kind of that Thursday, Saturday stretch. So it's an intense 11 weeks of conference play, but we're looking forward to it. I think there's going to be 4 or 5 teams in our conference who could potentially win it. Missouri Southern, Fort Hays, Central Missouri, Missouri Western. I hope we're in the mix for that too. So I would say those 5 teams. If you were to ask me today who's gonna win, I don't know if I could kind of give you a very accurate order. So I think there's a lot of competition there. What's that?
The Lopers are.
The Lopers, yeah, for sure, no question. So, yeah, but we're looking forward to conference season, and you know, I think the COVID seniors and our upperclassmen are kind of have their sights set on a couple of things in particular. The first is that they've never made the championship game at the MIAA tournament outside of when it was at Hays, which was awesome. Who doesn't want to win a conference championship at Hays on their home court? That would be one of their most memorable moments, I think, of their careers. But for whatever reason, when we get to Kansas City, we haven't been able to make that game. And so I think that's one of their big goals for the season, is to try to be there on that championship Sunday. And then, of course, the national tournament is always a big goal. Just like it is in volleyball and football, it's super tough to make the regional because of the great teams and conferences in our region. We've been fortunate to make it the last couple of years, but you never take it for granted because you can have an amazing season. 3 years ago, we were actually 26-6, and we did not get it. COVID actually it ended it anyway, and it never actually happened. But you know, you can have a really great season and still be on the outside looking in, and it's a little bit frustrating, but it is, you know, it's the region that we're in, and it's super challenging. So those are a couple of the goals that they have, and if you stop by our practice, you would notice that we don't get too serious about things. I mean, they do a pretty good job of not putting tons and tons of pressure on themselves, which is a good thing, considering that they do have some pretty high expectations. They like to have fun. I think Coach Lofton's been in there a time or two when you're like, are these girls actually practicing, or are they just laughing at each other, or what are they doing? So it's a pretty good mix of competitiveness, but also they enjoy what they're doing. I think anytime you're passionate and enjoy what you're doing, you have a good chance of being successful.
We started on whenever the 12th of September, and then our first competition was in Oklahoma on the 23rd. So we've been together for 2 weeks, and we get on a bus and go down, and did really well at that meet. And it's our first travel trip, and kind of a bonding, getting to know each other. And because of costs and everything that I'm sure you're incurring as well, we get on the bus at the end of the meet and we come back, and that's a 7-hour drive for us. So we're rolling into town at 2 or 3 or whatever it is, and then we get our Sundays off. So that's the perk of that. But it is a different way to do it. And then let's see, on the first we hosted. UNO was supposed to have a meet, and it didn't work out. So College of St. Mary's came to us, and they just don't have very many young ladies, but it was another chance for us to compete. And our home pool is awesome and a fast pool, so we definitely take advantage of that. And College of St. Mary's has a couple of really nice young ladies coaching, and they'll get things back on the right track. And then the 7th and 8th is our recruit weekend, kind of, and that was going to be homecoming, but it got switched, so we went ahead with our recruits because they were already planned. So that was a scrimmage on the morning of the 8th. So again, another chance to compete in our own pool, but they are kind of like your team. They like to have fun, but they are very competitive. So even if we're competing against ourselves, and still working to do it. And then let's see, we moved into fall break. And then for homecoming, we had another scrimmage because that's what we had planned, and we didn't have anything planned, so that's what we work for our team. And then we get into November, where on the 4th and 5th of November, we host, and we had 5 or 6 teams. We have a good showing, and we're still being affected by COVID in different ways, where teams can't travel, or they don't have the budget, or they can't stay overnight, or whatever it is. So we felt really good about that, did well, competed strong, and just to bring teams in and be able to host that is a good thing for us. And then we turned around and went to Edmond, Oklahoma, and that was, so if you're kind of keeping track here, we're kind of back to back a little bit. And I front-loaded that our season because, and we'll get to that in a minute, but it pays for us to practice and go to meets in the fall and have a heavy schedule. So we went to Edmond, Oklahoma, and we left at 10 o'clock in the morning. We did 30 hours there. So they did 3 sessions. They did Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, got back on the bus, and we beat them. So, and I know that Josh set up his meet, Josh Davis, to break records and do all the kinds of things for their school. But we swam a ton of events, and our girls were tough, and we came out on top. So, no matter what the circumstances are, it's a W for us. And I'm not sure that Coach Davis realized kind of what was going
Might
on.
not invite back.
Yeah, it was supposed to be, in all honesty, it was supposed to be an invite, and none of the other teams showed, so we came down. Well, he left it scored as an invite, and it was a duel. So anyway, who am I to correct anybody on how they're doing? So I absolutely could not believe it when we were getting toward the end, and you know, it's on Meet Mobile. Everything's on Meet Mobile. I hardly even carry a stopwatch anymore because stuff is recorded so quick. They get results right away. And they kept showing me, and I'm like, holy cow. Well, then I started to figure out in my own mind, okay, well, all right, we'll just let it go and see what happens. Like Josh could come over and go, oh, we've got to rescore the meet, but that didn't happen. And we came out, so it was amazing. So we won, and I broke down, and they know I don't cry over sad things. I cry over good things. But anyway, it was just amazing to see them work so hard and, swim like 4 events, and then turn around and do it again the next day and the next night. So they're swimming a lot, and then you get back on the bus and come home. And so that put us back into town, whatever time, 2 or 3 o'clock. And then we took off on Wednesday to go to Augustana, which was an extremely fast meet for us. 2 South Dakota teams were D1s, and so a good place for us to be. That was we should have gone to Cedar Rapids, and they canceled because of an AD switching coaches or whatever. So Cedar Rapids, we would have done very well, but we did well in a different way. At Augustana, we broke records. We had outstanding swims. It's going to be, honestly, that was a tougher meet than our MAC will be for us probably. But in order to get better, you got to see what the other teams are doing. And we feel like everybody knows when the Lopers are in the house. I mean, we have a great time and a great presence. And we did really well. So I'm very, very proud of our toughness and the things that we've got going. On the other end, I've got 19 new ones. And so a very new young team. And they've really shown me a lot of kind of grit here. The older ladies, of course, we've got a super senior. We prefer to call them super seniors, not COVID seniors. But Ashley, our diver, is a super senior who took advantage of that and is diving for her 5th year. And she has stuck it out because she's been my only diver, and now we have 6. So, and a GA, and so we're moving up in that part of the competition as well. Then they went home for Thanksgiving, and we take, we practice up until they go, and then they'll come back on the 11th of January. We've got to work around that J term. So they've got a big responsibility here to, proof will be in the pudding when we come back. Have a lot of responsibility over that break to train, or either be back here and train with us. And every coach I talk to kind of deals with the same kind of thing, letting kids go for a month, 40 days, whatever it is. So every team is dealing with the same types of things. I always think, oh darn it, I've got 2 or 3 kids sick when we get on the bus or whatever. Well, the other team does too. You know what I mean? It's all, everybody's got their issues. So we will come back, they'll come back on the 11th. We'll leave from, do you want to hear the agenda? We'll leave from Carney with the people that are on the west side, because we have people from all over too. We're really growing and expanding. So anybody that's coming from the west side will come to Carney, and all the Carney people, anybody that, so we'll drive to Denver. We'll meet our ladies that we have in Denver, because we have, there'll be 5 that are there, and then 6 that are still on their holiday will fly to LAX. So we'll all meet in LAX in the afternoon of the 12th. And get in our vans, and we're gonna drive down the Pacific Coast Highway and look at everything. Very excited to do that. We have a meet in Irvine on that Saturday, so we're there to compete. So on Friday and Sunday, we'll train in a really nice facility there, and then we're going to have a polar plunge. How much time? We have all kinds of things that we'll do right there. So they're very excited about it. And then we'll come back on Monday, and that's after that meet will be when some decisions will be made about the RMAC team. I can take 18 on our roster. Okay, and 3 divers count for 1 swimmer. So right now I have 3 divers that I think can score. I've got 6 divers, and we'll just see that those 3, like Mesa will have 6 divers and they'll swim with 16. Because and they know that all their divers are going to school at home, so that's awesome. Well, so I'm going to take the 3 and swim with 17 and see how we do with that. So they don't necessarily know who's going to make the RMAC team right now. So we're all vying for that. We have a pretty good idea, of course, but so we are all going to travel, and they will be able to swim exhibition and do some other things so that they get a flavor of the RMAC meet. I've never been in this position before with this many young ladies to where I've never had a full team to take. And so that policy or it may change in the future, but that's what we're going to do this year. So we'll swim in Irvine, and then we'll head off to RMAC the week of Valentine's Day. And they are actually going to start that meet on Tuesday night. We're going to swim the 800 relay, and we'll be done on Saturday night. So we'll swim Tuesday, all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday. And then we get on the bus and come down the mountain. So
How many teams is that, Becky?
7, 8. We lost one, and then we added the Texas team. And the reason that I front loaded and with the schedule to go back to that is that there are some big teams in RMAC. We're never going to win RMAC. Okay, but there's a lot of things that we can do that with setting, moving up on our top 10 and breaking records, and there's all kinds of things that we can do as a team, and we can get stronger and we can beat some other teams. But there's some big things there. So that's why it's kind of nice to be able to do some others where we really build up our confidence and say, hey, we can do this. We can swim with we're kind of a little fish, so we can swim with a bigger fish.
How do you qualify for NCAAs?
There are times set. And so we will go on that, and we would like to get our relays in, and we're really looking at that. We've broken our relay records again. That's what records are for, is to break them. So we'll just see how it shakes out. But that is something, if we would have the chance to do that, then that's more like spring break, so we extend our season another month for those people that qualify for that. And we would go quickly.
Numbers are a big part of the game in swimming, and when she first started, they had 9 young women on the team, and they're up to 31 this year, 32. But yeah, Mesa has 50.
Okay.
So again, it's all in the numbers.
So we're doing, we feel really good about where we are. And to talk about recruiting a little bit, it's people want to come to Kearney, and you know that. You talk to the young ladies, we had one here today that wants to go into aviation. There are not very many schools that offer swimming and aviation. So UNK just offers a lot of things. I'm amazed at all the different things that my young ladies are studying and how well they're doing, and the cooperation of the professors and all of that. So I'm not necessarily looking to sign 19 again, but we might take another dozen. You gotta load, I'm gonna lose time, and then the matriculation rate, college is hard. Grades and everything, so. Our older ladies definitely help figuring out college in general. And so, but another fun fact for us, just because I know you're hanging on every word, Gabby Grace from Topeka was an RMAC honorable mention. Then Maggie Waddington from Norfolk was we've never had an RMAC honorable mention. I mean, I never even read at the bottom of the thing because it's all about other people. Carly Bennett won RMAC Athlete of the Week, and then Gabby got it again last week, and we kind of had 2 or 3 others. So, I mean, at least we're on the radar, and people are noticing.
I have some returning All-Americans that kind of lead our pack of national ranked guys. Nick James, who's Kearney High grad, two-time All-American for us. He's ranked number 3 in the country right now at 141 pounds. Austin Eldridge, two-time All-American for us from McPherson, Kansas. He's ranked number 2 at 174 pounds. Billy Higgins, he's an Omaha Scott grad, All-American for us last year, and he's ranked number 1 at 184 pounds. 197, Hayden Prince, he was a national qualifier last year, originally from Goose Creek, South Carolina, and he's ranked number 5 right now. And then topping it off at heavyweight, Lee Harrington, Kearney High grad, and he's ranked number 2 in the country at heavyweight. So those are our 5 national ranked guys. We have a rankings call tomorrow, which I'll be doing on the road as we drive to Omaha and fly up to Vegas for a tournament. But most of those guys should stay relatively where they're at. The only one that might shake up a little bit is Hayden Prince at 97, but I think he'll probably resolve himself right around the same area. He's ranked 5th. He beat the number 4 guy at our open, but he lost to the number 6 guy. So those guys might just flip flop around him, and we'll see how that goes. But and then the other weights is kind of like you said, we're kind of seeing who's going to step up and fill some voids of some major key players we had on the team last year. So I think for the most part, those will be some young guys. We did have a couple transfers in this year. One of them that I think will still be coming back here in January. He rolled a side-by-side and broke 2 bones in his arm here a couple months ago. But I think with actually it being a freak accident, nothing else happened. It was just clean break, so it just needs bone to heal. He didn't have any ligament damage or anything like that. But he was a national finalist for Hastings College last year as a true freshman. That's Trent Munoz. So I know he'll be coming back and trying to be our 165-pounder and someone that's nationally relevant kid. And those other weights, yeah, it's kind of up for grabs. We use these open tournaments to kind of help gauge. Obviously we do an inter squad, but I don't necessarily care how these guys do against each other. I want to see how they can do against outside competition. So we hosted our open tournament 2 weekends ago. It's been the largest college open in the country for at least the last 4 years. It keeps growing by about 50 participants every year too. We had 652 participants this year from all over the Midwest. Simon Fraser from Vancouver, Canada came down, a team from California, a couple from Texas. So
How many mats is it?
what's
How
that?
many mats do you run?
16 mats.
16.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that was a good opportunity for our guys to see some outside competition from some teams they don't normally see. And we split it up, amateur and elite division. So usually it's first couple year guys you see in that amateur division, and then kind of your more experienced wrestlers in that elite division. And we had 4 of our 10 weights won that open. That being Nick James, Austin Eldridge, Billy Higgins, and Lee Harrington. All walked away with winning that. And then this upcoming weekend we'll send, most of the team will be going to the Doan Open over in Crete, but we're taking 7 guys, 7 of our 10 varsity guys to Las Vegas for the Cliff Team Las Vegas Invitational. That's something we kind of started, kind of been back and forth on. Some years we don't always go, but pretty consistently we've been going for the last few years, and it's like the toughest college tournament in the country. It's 31 Division I teams, and then us who decide to throw our guys in the mix and see what happens, which I'm pretty upfront with what the purpose is. It's to go get those guys their butts kicked and to go expose them to the highest level talent. And that way it just kind of reiterates the things we're focused on to get these guys to become the best wrestlers they can, that they're going to go see and expose themselves to some guys that are going to make them pay maybe some hard lessons if they're not doing things right. And then we'll go bounce back and usually have an easier competition to follow up that week after to kind of reverse psychology, and they think like they fixed all their problems in 1 week. When really it's just a change competition level, so it's all part of the plan, right? That's right. So coaching psychology. So that'd be a good opportunity to see where some of those guys stack up. It's been a few years we're kind of drawn back today. I think it's been since 2016 was the last time we had a placer at that tournament, which was Daniel Beshazer, who he placed at that tournament twice actually. He was a 2-time national champ for us. So a couple of these guys that we're taking this weekend were a round away from placing last year, so hopefully maybe they can get over that hump and get on the podium, and we'll see how it goes. But that's kind of what we have ahead of us. And looking forward to it.
The worst part's the second day. If you make it to the second day and you're in consolidation, because you have to make weight again, and if you lose the first match, you're out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So and you don't place.
Yeah, so it's like it's a bad deal for them. They have to cut weights, make weight second day, and then they might get beat that first round. They're out. me and my coaches might be at a blackjack table till 2 a.m. I have to wake up for 6 a.m. weigh-ins. It's a tough deal. I know.
Yeah, no kidding. Where's that? We don't need to
Saw a lot of.
That's really what
I'm.
Girls, they're making cards for people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, what do you do? I didn't know we could do that.
That would be a fun day.
So who is your conference competition?
So
Still
that's a good
gonna be
question.
consistent?
Yeah, so the main team would be Central Oklahoma. They're our big rival. They beat us in a dual by point last year, and then obviously we ended up winning nationals. They were second place in nationals right behind us. And barring any injuries or anything crazy, I would anticipate both of us should be in the top 3 at nationals again.
I listened to Carrie talk about her team, and it's kind of interesting. She talked about her 5 COVID seniors. I have 5 sophomores that we're going to be relying on quite a bit. Right now we're 2 and 4. We're off to a little bit slower start than I would like, but I'm not discouraged, to be honest with you, because we've gone through some adversity early. I had some guys that have been injured. A couple of them are key players, so we've had to go out and compete and hang in there against some good competition. Started off in Duluth, Minnesota. We played Bemidji State. When you go to a tournament like that, it's one of those things where when I agreed to go to the tournament, David Simmental was still on our roster, and obviously he was a really good player. And it was going to be our second trip up there. Lake Superior is right there by the hotel. It's a really beautiful place. The only downside is it's 10 hours away. But once you get up there, it's a very enjoyable tournament. Great facilities, great people, great scenery. So we felt like why not go back up there? We split last year. When you go to a tournament like that, you're lucky to get the split. Even good teams go up there and sometimes, or go anywhere. And sometimes, if you don't play right, it's easy to come out of the exempt tournament 0-2. Last year we got our split. This year we fell short. We played Bemidji State. That was the team you felt like, if you're going to go that far and play against the number 7 team in the country on the second night, you better win your first game. And we got in a shootout, ended up 91-96. We made 16 threes, they made 17 threes. It was just one of those games where if you were a fan, I think you had to enjoy that game because it was a shooting exhibition. If you're a coach, you probably drove you nuts and you expected some kids to get out on the defensive end and do a little bit better. But we learned from it. That next day, we came out and played much better defensively. I thought we pushed Duluth quite a bit. I think 33 minutes of that game, I think we led, or we're really right there. And then they spurted at the end. They're number 7 team in the country for a reason. They got a lot of, their whole team was back up. The team went to the NCAA tournament, and I think won 25 games. So we knew we were up against it. Came home, we played a couple of NAIA schools. Again, Kerry talked about it at the local lunch and why you play those games. Well, we have guys. It's supposed to be your opportunity, one, to do your scheduling to make sure that one get win. But the other thing is you want to play against someone that you feel like you can get as many of the guys in as you possibly can, because once the conference season starts, it's hard to spread the wealth. It's hard to go past, for us, it's hard to go past 8 in our league. You start going 9, 10, 11 deep, unless you are special, it's going to be hard. So, you try to get the guys that are working extremely hard in practice every single day, done everything you ask them to do. You want to give them an opportunity to get out there on the floor for a couple of games. I think we were able to do that. Then we had Wayne at home, and then we went on the road to Shatter. Wayne was a heartbreaker, obviously. 2 rival games back to back. I think Wayne came down to the last couple of minutes. Felt like we were right there, I think, at the 5-minute mark. I think it was either a tie game or we were down 3, and we had some key turnovers down the stretch. You can't win in a close game turning it over. I think we had 4 or 5 turnovers in the last 5 minutes, and that did us in. I was proud of our kids because our second best player didn't suit up, and he hadn't suited up since the Minnesota Duluth game. So this coming weekend with the conference season starting, we're pretty excited about Ryder being back. He actually practiced today. He shot it in today, so we feel really good about that. And then we're also getting Ryder Kirsch. And then we're getting Braden Boley back. He's a redshirt freshman. Had a really, really good fall. We actually had a great spring. We expected and hoped that he'd be able to step in and to help us at the point guard position. Unfortunately, he got hurt at this probably about, I think, mid-October. He got hurt, and he's been out until last week. So getting him back along with Ryder back, we feel like it's going to help us down the stretch. But we lost it closer against Wayne. Shadden played pretty well that night. They were much better than their record. It was a 2-point game with 9 minutes to play. We had possession with a chance to cut it to 2. Missed a mid-range jump shot, and that was all she wrote. They proceeded to hit 4 threes in a row, and we never really got back in the game after that. I was talking to Lucas. I mean, we were trying to do some things to speed them up, and the shots that they took, you felt like, yeah, if he misses that one business, they never missed. So it's just one of those nights. And, you just, okay.
I felt like I jinxed you guys because I hadn't seen any of the game. I turned it on. What you said, you're really close, and then boom, 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 boom. I went, sorry.
Sorry, guys.
On a 5-minute stretch, that went from this going to be a nail biter to see you later. So it happens sometimes that you have to take it with a grain of salt. The non-con is supposed to prepare you for the conference season. I feel like that our non-conference did do that. The thing that's frustrating is I really don't know what I have in some areas because Ryder wasn't there. You know, you got a glimpse of what might be in Minnesota, but he hasn't been with us for 4 games. Braden has not played yet. So to get back and work those players back into the rotation, you got to move players around. So we, in the next couple, next 4 games, maybe even going into the break, we still may be trying to find ourselves in some ways, and that's kind of frustrating, but it's good and bad. I feel like the 2 kids that are coming back, Ryder and Braden, are good players. They definitely give us more depth. I know a lot of people were asking about our depth early on. Well, you got your second best player and another player that you think is a top 6 player out. That can be a problem, but we're hoping that won't be an issue moving forward. Not very many people know it, but we have a player that his name is Tariq Dunson. He's from Kirkwood, Iowa. He is setting out first semester. He will be eligible second semester, and he's also a pretty good player. So we feel like the best is in front of us. We're pretty excited about it, and hoping that as we go through it, our kids' goals are pretty simple. We want to, throughout the course of the season, develop into a team that's good enough to make the MIA tournament, and once we get there, advance. Once we get there, not just make it and go home, but advance and see what happens there. So pretty excited about it. A little nervous with a lot of young guys. Like I said, 5 sophomores are in our top 6, and with sophomores sometimes they're a little inconsistent, but I think it's a good group, and it kind of reminds me of Carrie's group of kids that the year before you had your 26-win season. I think that's Shiloh's freshman year and Brooks' freshman year. Kind of had that class that came in and kind of got better as the year went on. Ended up making the line tournament and kind of set you up for a pretty good run since then. So I don't know if we'd be as good a run as they're on right now, but I do feel like if we could kind of keep getting better and keep this group of sophomores together, we could be pretty good.
How do you think that the 4 starting sophomores, do they recognize that the 2 guys that are injured are out, or even the second semester guy, do they recognize that they may not be in this position?
Position meaning like opportunity to play or 2
Yeah,
and 4?
because the definition, sophomore in the Greek language is wise fool. Seriously.
Yeah, right. That's a deep question. I think that one, as far as the 2 and 4 record, I think everybody knows had Ryder been healthy and Braden been healthy. Although I think we'd be better than that. So I don't think that discourages them. But also, I think what you're alluding to is, as you get those players back, the roles can change in a hurry. And that's what I'm saying. It can be a little frustrating because all of a sudden Ryder's going to be starting on Thursday, where he's missed 4 games. But it's pretty no-brainer if you watch the practice today. It's kind of cut and dry. And then Braden I think had sent a message early in the fall based on the way he was playing that, I mean, he was penciled in as a starter at that point before he got hurt. He got hurt on 2 different occasions. He missed, in a 9-week period, he was out 7. So in a 9-week period, he only practiced 8 times. So he's been really beat up. But even today, when he scrimmaged, we scrimmaged for a better part of an hour, and both those two kind of sent a message that, you know, we're back now, and probably gonna have to be some shifting around. But that's just part of it. I think when you have those situations, it sends a message to the guys that are in kind of key roles that if they let up, there's going to be someone that's going to come and challenge those minutes, and it sends guys that were kind of inching toward maybe playing more that, you know, I got to really pick this up, and it creates competition, and that's how you get better, and that's kind of what I'm hoping.
The Kirsches have any more children?
No, but Claire does want some kickback because she's now, you know, encouraged her sister to come, her cousin to come. And she's sitting here saying, "And what's in it for me?" You know, so.
She's a good recruiter. Though.
Yeah, right.
They're cousins, right?
Yes, Claire and Ryder are cousins.
Oh, they're cousins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Their dads are brothers.
I thought that was
That's
simple.
the
All right.
connection.
And Carrie, you mentioned in your piece that the super seniors, it's very obvious on the court as to them helping the younger players. I mean, they go up to them at a timeout or even during the game. It's just pretty obvious.
Yeah.
It's an amiable relationship. It's not like, you know, like even Brooke not starting.
Yep. Yeah, her and Megan both, you
Yeah.
know, are in a position where, I mean, they're players, those two have started, you know, for several years at different times. And I think that's what's really neat about that group is it's a competitive group, and really 4 of them play the same positions. And honestly, we've had about every combination of them at some point starting, and some of them have played really well at times, and others have struggled, and they just kind of stick together through it, and are kind of really more grateful for the fact that, hey, I'm really glad you're playing well right now because I'm not, and then it kind of flips, and so yeah, it's just been a really special group. They're incredible, you know, ambassadors of the university and really good students, and I'll get random text messages from people in the community saying, hey, some of our girls were at this such and such event helping out, and they were so amazing with the kids, and we're so appreciative of, you know, their willingness to, and it wasn't even something I initiated, I didn't even know they were there. So they're just, it's a super special group, and we just hope to keep recruiting kids just like them, you know. So, and I think that's part of it in recruiting is you get a group, and they're your best recruiters, and they draw people to them. They're like them. They're like-minded. They're similar in their approach and in their demeanor and those kind of things. And so, you know, I would give him as much credit in recruiting the classes behind them as, you know, I would give Devin, which he's done a pretty phenomenal job in recruiting. I will say that. But you know, those current players have made a huge impact on who we recruit next. They'll come and tell us like, yes, this is a good fit, or I don't know about this one. Yeah, so it's actually really helpful, and they're usually pretty honest. So and honest, yeah.
I know that. And one last thing for me is those new girls that came on. Some of them are faster, and so so it's a tough. And then the way that they've handled it has just been so well, because you never know what the reaction is going to be when so-and-so's taking your spot. You're not on the A relay, you were on the A relay last year. So I've been very pleased that they've been there and been supportive, and happy that we're still breaking records, and just gotta keep working hard. But I've been very pleased that they handled it like adults.
Well, we transferred into winter, fall, had a great season. You just want to wrap it up and give it a go.
Yeah, I guess I would say that, no offense to the fall sports, but on days like today, I'm a huge fan of winter sports. I know you might think that it's because I'm a fair weather fan, and that is the case. So, no, I had the privilege today of stopping by and watching men's basketball, wrestling practice, and then yesterday I stopped in and watched Carrie's program. You're scrimmaging you guys yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It was actually kind of fun. I hadn't gotten over to watch you guys since I was over there last time, but you can see the passion. More than that, you can see that they truly know their trade and what they're dealing with, and just the tremendous examples for our student athletes. And I tell people when I speak oftentimes about leadership that it's not truly about what they achieve, but it's who they become in the process. And that's our whole hope, is that we want them to leave as better people than they came. And when you have individuals like this of great character and integrity and really know their trade and understand exactly what they're trying to get out of the student athlete and their process of creating and developing that process, it's a pleasure to watch. It really is. So my hat's off to all of you and the hard work that you continue to put into our student athletes. And we look forward to the rest of the winter. The J term is kind of putting a damper in our style a little bit because it affects our crowds a little bit. Not having as many people around. We don't have the pep band there. We are trying to get the cheer and dance to some of these events as well, but it's different. It's a different feel for when we come back. I know you guys will be at home. You'll be on the road to California, and then in February at the region or the conference tournament, and then Coach Jensen, they head off for Kentucky right away for the National Dual Championships. And so it's like, although J term is happening, we're in full force, and so it's going to be a pleasure to watch them wrap things up at the end of the year, and hopefully they end up on top. So thank you for all you do.